Hour. We go now to FBI retired supervisor, special agent James Gagliano is with us, along with former D.C. homicide detective, Fox News contributor, our friend Ted Williams is with us. Let's talk about the fingerprints and let's talk about the ballistics now that they have recovered the weapon. Ted Williams, that could be critical towards getting a conviction.
That is absolutely critical when it comes to Sean getting a conviction. But Sean, first, if you don't mind, let me just offer my deepest condolences to the family of Mr. Kirk. No one should have gone out here under the circumstances in which he has gone out here. And one of the pictures that stand out for me is when Mr. Kirk is in studio at Fox News and his little baby girl runs in his direction and runs into his arms. And I am sure that is something that will stand out in the mind of any individuals who are watching this. But as you've said, Sean, there's a great deal of physical evidence that the authorities are now working with. I have to believe, as your other guests, that it's only a matter of time before this person is caught. I think you can run as he is, but you can't hide. Somebody out there knows who he is, and you're absolutely right in your observance of him and walking with that right leg. I would have to believe that portions of that gun was in that right pants leg as he was going toward that school. I also want to say this. I hope they get other video feed in that neighborhood early on, because I do believe this was planned, and I do believe he may have used that same direction to go on other occasions as he was planning this murder.
Well, James, let me go to you. Let's look at the evidence that we're talking about here. We recovered the gun, the weapon. We have ballistics. We're going to have fingerprints. Let's go back to the new video that we have tonight. Let's go back to the limp that Ted was referring to, that we brought up at the top of the show. You can see he's like dragging his right leg. And then we've got two pictures also released tonight. And if you look at the two pictures, again, the right leg, what you can see is, in both of them, a bulge. Here's the limp. Here, but it's more than a limp. It's sort of like he's dragging that right leg. Now, if we can put the pictures up one after another, well, that's not the one. The picture that has the right leg, and you can see in the right leg picture, you can see a bulge. You can actually see it there by the ankle. I apologize. I'm the one that got it wrong. You can see it by the ankle. And then if you look there, looks like, again, look at the knee area. You see what looks like, or looks to be like, something is inside those pants. Maybe with the backpack, maybe another part of the gun is there. Maybe it was assembled on the roof, or before he got up to that roof. And then, of course, they were able to recover it. When you put it all together, what are you looking at? What are you seeing? What evidence are you gathering? What are you gleaning?
Yeah, Sean, I think we're definitely moving from the phase of person of interest into a suspect. Now, having said that, you've got to be careful, and we've got to caveat these things, because yesterday the FBI director had to walk back using the term suspect because they interviewed some people and ended up ultimately releasing them. Look, Sean, this is not necessarily unprecedented, but in my 25 years in the FBI, and we've only been around 100, called too many times that an FBI director showed up at a scene like this, at a crime scene, and made a public pronouncement. It can only be one of two things. He could potentially be announcing that, yes, they have someone in custody. That would be good news. We'd all breathe a collective sigh of relief, and we'd go on about our business, putting together a case to make sure we could prosecute this individual to the fullest extent of the law. The other piece, and this is probably more realistic, so I want to tamp down people's expectations, would be to continue the crowdsourcing that you talked about in the previous segment. And that crowdsourcing is so critical, Sean. 3,000 people were at this rally. Most of them had their video cell phones out and were taking pictures of this. To grind through all of that digital exhaust, all of that cell phone video, all of the Ring doorbell videos, the traffic cam, the videos that were being released slowly now, released at one time, but that's because the FBI may have somebody in their sights and don't want to spook them and have them run off.
Yeah, guys, stay right there. We'll bring in Paul Mauro, and he is in Utah tonight, retired NYPD inspector. Paul, again, we're talking about a lot of new information tonight. One is the video that we're looking at in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and that is the limp, the dragging of the leg, coupled with two pictures that also seem to show that something is in the right leg of this person of interest. He's not. They're not officially saying it's a suspect. We expect in about 4 minutes this press conference to begin. We'll find out hopefully a lot more. The recovered weapon, the ballistics that would be associated with that, the new video that we have. He's limping in one direction. Assuming it's the same person in the TMZ video coming back, that person is running and no longer limping. That seems very revealing.
Yes, it absolutely does. And, Sean, this goes to where we were talking about last night, which we said they were going to go leapfrogging through the video on this campus, which, as we knew, as a college campus these days, is almost certainly going to be blanketed with video. And that's apparently exactly what they did. And then the suspect goes dark as the suspect leaves the campus and goes into the neighborhood. And that's why they were canvassing backyards, pulling Ring camera, knocking on doors late last night. Almost certainly that's how they recovered the gun. But it looks like TMZ did the same, and they got this Ring camera, which I would have to agree seems to really argue. He had the gun down his leg and got up onto the roof doing that and then fled at a run. That also argues that the screwdriver was likely used to somehow assemble the gun. Could have been used just to get up onto the roof. We don't know. But I think the salient point for the investigation now is this. He knew the area. That's not the first time he's on that roof. He knew if you're going to do all of this stuff, go up with a high-powered rifle, committing a homicide, you don't wing it. You don't just show up and hope you can get up onto the roof, hope that there's not security there, which means people in and around there might have something. That's why dissemination of this video is so important, because he's got to be tied to the school somehow. He's college age. He knew that building. So he somehow or other has to have been in and out of there either as a student or something else. So I do think that right now there is somebody right in the area where I'm speaking, I think, who probably has a very important lead for the FBI, and I just hope they come forward and hope maybe they already have.
Have you spoken to a lot of people on the ground since you've been there, Paul?
I have, and, you know, Sean, that's a really interesting point. You know, I got to say, when I was in college, I couldn't hold a candle to these kids. They're standing around praying. They're tying ribbons around trees. They're coming up to me, apologizing to me, you know, and they're upset about what happened here. You know, why are they apologizing to me? Because they feel wounded. And as you and I talked about last night, to this generation, and younger even, this was like a JFK moment. They loved this man. And they are all feeling this really, really deeply. And you can see it. There are people driving around with things on their cars. This community is rocked by this. You saw the turnout. So the fact that this happened here, they really, really are upset by, and especially the fact that it happened the way it happened. Echoes of Butler. You know, the place that Charlie sat, that grandstand, little area, that's apparently where the location is always chosen for these kind of events here. So that argues again that this person knew the terrain because he knew he could get the shot off from up there. How do you know? How would I know, let's say if I just was going in blind, where they were going to put Charlie's stage? This guy knew. It argues a lot of recon or a lot of familiarity. The people here know that, and they feel like somebody in their community has done this awful thing.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.